energy forecast for Tuesday, September 26th. So today we will see the moon in Aquarius go void of course at 8:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're in for a very long day of having that moon be void, which of course brings a lot of instability, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of questioning, a lot of unraveling, if I do say so myself, before we lock into Pisces energy at 8:19 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's like almost a whole 12 hours of sitting in uncertainty. However, the transition from Aquarius energy to Pisces energy is always very intuitive, very spiritual, very refreshing, very renewing. Now, granted, we might have to sit in the fields once we actually shift into the moon in Pisces, because of course that's what we need to do. We have to process. Now, the moon in Pisces is bringing an ending and a closure to the last lunar cycle. And although there is an urgency, an impulse, an intensity to want to take action and make moves, it's actually time for rest, for recovery, for rejuvenation, realignment, recalibration. And of course, if you've listened to the ascension forecast for this week, you would know that we are in a realignment, recalibration type of week, especially seeing how we're given an opportunity this week to acclimatize to this new karmic energy, this new timeline, this new soul contract that of course was ushered in with Libra season, triggering that equinox energy. So we got a lot going on here today. There are 10 different aspects. All 10 are involving the moon, which makes it a moon day. Tuesdays are ruled over by Mars, which, usually means that we want to take action, we want to make moves, but unfortunately for Mr. Mars, he's stuck in the intellectual battlefield of Libran energy, trying to weigh the pros and cons of each and every single choice, decision, and factor that is coming to our attention. So there's going to be a lot to process here today. Let's just say that. We kick off the day with the moon interacting with the sun. So of course we have the moon in Aquarius energy at this time in air sign. We have the sun in Libran energy in air sign. This isn't the best interaction. It's not super negative, but what it's doing is illuminating for us a lot of options, a lot of decisions that of course we're not going to be able to make in Libra season. The moon in Aquarius is very visionary, very much projecting our futuristic possibilities. The sun in Libra wants us to weigh the pros and cons of those alternatives, those possibilities, in order for us to find a common ground. The moon in Aquarius going to sextile, beautiful interaction with Chiron, the wounded healer, who is retrograde in Aries energy, helping us to kind of emerge as this brand new version of self. A sextile means that there is a change, there is a growth, an improvement, if you will. And because the moon in Aquarius allows us to act as the observer without being so emotionally detached to the situation and circumstance, we're starting to see ourselves, our own energy, our own blockages, our own challenges from a different set of eyes. And of course, realizing it, bringing that into our awareness is step one of being able to flip the script, actually take power and control over some of the elements that we've been struggling to really accept. The moon in Aquarius going to trine, beautiful interaction with Mr. Mars, who again is in his weakest position in this Libran energy. This is a beautiful interaction though. We get air on air energy again, which is a lot of emotional processing, especially when it comes to new passions, new excitement, new ideas that we are motivated, trying to get excited in order to actually pursue. Now, granted, there's going to be a lot of, I'm going to say, progress made in the mental plane about the actions in which we are really trying to figure out whether or not we should take. The moon is going to directly oppose and sit across from Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, money, in this Leo energy, the heart and soul of the zodiac. She's gaining her emotional strength. She is trying to clear her post-retrograde shadow confusion. This opposition is going to put us at odds, so to speak, with what it is that our heart is asking us to do, asking us to pursue. Of course, the moon in Aquarius, very emotionally detached so that we can act as the observer, see where it is that our heart is asking us to make some changes, especially in our physical realm where routines, relationships, money matters are concerned. But again, we're not in a time of taking action, we're building towards taking the action. The moon in Aquarius is going to get into the boxing ring, square off with Uranus, who of course rules over the Aquarian energy. He's the modern day ruler. Saturn is the traditional ruler. Uranus is the great awakener. He likes to give us a little bit of a shock, a little bit of a brilliance as far as downloading new insight, new understanding, new perspectives go. He is retrograde though in Taurus energy, and the whole point of Uranus being retrograde in Taurus energy is to highlight where it is that we're resisting change, where it is that even though we know that change is needed, where it is that we have to kind of change our perspective, change our understanding, change some actual physical elements in our physical realms, where it is that we're kind of avoiding doing such things. Now, a square doesn't feel very good. It highlights where it is that there's tension, where there's a conflict, where there's an inner struggle of us trying to gain the kind of clarity that we wish we would have had by now. The clarity is coming in small little dribs and drabs. What we're definitely not, as I'm going to say, informed as we need to be in order to make some of the serious changes and decisions that we're trying to build ourselves up to. It's at this particular point in time that the moon is going to go void. So while the moon is void, still in this Aquarian energy, we're actually going to have a sextile with the North Node in Aries energy. This is our soul path. This is the path that we have to be on to reach our soul's mission, our soul's potential, our soul's next adventure, if you will. A sextile is highly suggestive that there's a lot of growth, a lot of progress being made, and trying to figure out where it is that we have to break away from doing things the way that we've always been doing them in order to actually launch ourselves in a different direction where we are, yes, having to change, having to transform out of the old version of self and the old reality in which that self is built in order to try something new that is more in alignment with our heart space. The moon goes ahead, makes an interaction with Neptune, who of course is in his rulership, retrograde in this Pisces energy, helping us to identify the problem in order for us to come up with a solution, especially where it is that we're feeling blocked and challenged in trying to align with a new vision, a new dream, a new mission, a new goal, a new purpose. This is a time where we're realizing what our dreams actually are, what it is that we have a desire to manifest, a desire to pursue, and therefore recognizing the blockages, the challenges, the fear, the doubt, the insecurities holding us back from actually pursuing such things. The moon interacting with Neptune in this way is a positive interaction, which means that we are kind of gaining a little bit more clarity, a little bit more insight, a little bit more of an intuitive validation on what it is that we want to be building towards, and definitely receiving a lot of clarity on what it is that we have to move away from. The moon, still void, of course, in this Aquarian energy, going to make a positive interaction with the sun in Libran energy. And this is definitely an overlap of where it is that we're coming from, where it is that we desire to go, and what it is that we're lacking as far as the gap, the distance, the bridge that is needed in order for us to get away from where it is that we've been and get us closer to where it is that we desire to be. And a lot of this, again, is processing. This is a lot of air energy. This is a lot of thinking. This is a lot of intellectual debate within ourselves, if you will, recognizing the greater, grander vision on what it is that we would like to actually be building towards. And of course, the sun in Libra trying to weigh all the different pros and cons in all of the different possibilities and variables that we're currently trying to conjure up as far as a path, a plan, and a direction moving forward actually goes. The moon is going to interact with Pluto, the great transformer himself, who was retrograde in Capricorn energy, helping us to take our power back, to boss up, to be in control of our lives. Yes, we've been dealt some crappy hands in the past, but we're able to tap into a new creator energy that is going to make something beautiful out of that crappy hand and really play our cards to the best of our advantage. The moon interacting with Pluto in this way is going to be a major observation that leads to a great transformation on how it is that we think, how it is that we feel, especially about some situations and circumstances that we had a particular perspective or understanding of. We're flipping the script. We're seeing it from a different set of eyes. We're emotionally detached so that we're not being triggered and activated from our wounded self in order to see where it is that maybe we've been stuck in a rut of a particular perspective, narrative, or understanding that isn't empowering us to make the kind of changes that we know that we need to make. At 8:19 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the moon will shift into Pisces energy. This is definitely when things are going to get a little bit kind of, I'm going to say, overwhelming to a certain extent, because there's a lot of thoughts, a lot of feelings coming up. There's a lot of visions. There's a lot of intuition. There is a lot of just needing to go with the flow and recognizing where it is that, yes, there may be this impulse to want to take action and make moves, but we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to be decompressing, winding down, taking a step back, tapping into our higher selves. We really need to kind of get in alignment with our intuition, with our newest version of self, in order to kind of understand where we need to renew and refresh our faith, our trust, our spirit before we move into this next creator chapter. The only aspect that we have here today with the moon in Pisces is a pretty serious one, if I do say so myself. It's a conjunction. The moon is coming up to, bumping into, teaming up with Saturn. Saturn is retrograde. He's in Pisces energy. He's the Lord of Karma. He's trying to dissolve the old self, the old belief system that the old self actually created the old realm and reality out of. And Saturn always brings on a little bit of a reality check. He always brings on a little bit of a serious, more somber type of tone. And although this may feel very heavy, very weighted, very, again, serious and somber, it is needed in order for us to step back, be very reflective, a little bit more introverted, to really kind of process all of the events that have taken place over this last lunar cycle. We need time to process it. We need to digest it. We need to really integrate it. We need to come to terms with it before we jump into a new cycle, which just, of course, happens to be the name of the game here in this new karmic chapter, this new energetic cycle. And we will have this build up, if you will, to this ending and closure of the old and this initiation of the new, with the full moon taking place in Aries energy that will be popping off on the 29th. So this is kind of like the reflection, if you will, on what has happened, what has changed for us, what it is that we want to do from here, what we have to kind of clean up and remove from our lives to create a space for us to actually start building towards something new. So this is going to be a time where I would say pay attention to your intuition, of course, but also pay attention to your dreamscape. There is likely a major change, a lot of cryptic messages coming at us with the moon in Pisces over the next couple of days.